Welcome back to another End Times Prophecy News Update, guys. Thank you so very much to the kind souls who are keeping this channel going by your kind donations, your channel memberships. Thank you so much, guys. If you guys can't afford to help, it's all good. Just like the video, share it in every way possible. Let's spread this message. Let's grow this community. I love you guys. Okay, let's just keep her going. Every time you share a video on Facebook or Twitter or something, sorry about my cat there, it helps big time. Alright guys, let's jump right into your End Times Christian News Report. Sky has fallen. Chinese farmers reel after floodwaters devastate pig herd. A week later, after heavy rains hammered Hainan province in central China, hog farmers in the pork producing region are reeling over their herds, drowning in floodwater. There's also a risk of deadly pig disease, African swine fever returning. Small to medium-sized farmers have been severely impacted by floodwaters. Router spoke with Chinese farmers who expressed despair after their pig herds drowned. Chinese farmer Chang said he's been pulling out dead pigs lodged in mud after floodwaters devastated his property. He said at least 100 pigs had drowned so far. Oh, poor pigs. I'm waiting for the water levels to go down to see what to do with the remaining pigs, said the farmer from Wang Fan village, who is located 55 north of Zhangzhou. They've been in the water for a few days now and can't eat at all. I don't think even one pig will be left. Shang is one of the many farmers in Henan that were heavily impacted by floodwaters. Not just livestock farms, but also agricultural farms saw their fields flooded. In an instant, we now have no way of surviving. We have no other skills. We have no more money to raise pigs again, Shang said, adding, the sky has fallen. China is still rebuilding its pig herds following African swine fever swept the country during 2018 and 2019. However, the latest floods could impact hog populations in the province. Now there's a significant risk of an outbreak of African swine fever. Floods increase the risk of disease as feces, blood, and tissue can transmit the virus. Contaminated feed and water can easily infect healthy hogs. Henan province is the top wheat producing province in the country, accounting for about 30% of output and the second largest hog producer. There have also been logistical issues with transportation for farmers due to floodwaters destroying infrastructure in the province. To sum up, China may have to continue buying U.S. farm goods due to an already devastating flood season. Typhoon Infa makes landfall in Zhejiang, forces 1.5 million people to evacuate. China Typhoon Infa made landfall in the Putu district of the city of Zhengshan, China's eastern province of Zhengshan at 4:30 a.m. on July 25, 2021. At the time of landfall, Infa had a maximum wind speed of 137 kilometers an hour, according to China Meteorologist Administration, or CMA. Schools, markets, and businesses were closed ahead of landfall and more than 1.5 million people evacuated. Strong winds produced by Infa were also felt in Shanghai, where about 360,000 people were evacuated and all inbound and outbound flights were cancelled for its two international airports. Dozens of scheduled trains were cancelled, while activity at the two of the world's largest ports, Shanghai and Ningbo, were temporarily shut down. Infa weakened after landfall, but CMA warned it will continue to hover over a wide expanse of eastern China for days, bringing heavy rainfall, possibly to areas of Henan, still recovering from last week's massive flooding in which at least 63 people died. Direct economic losses in Hainan are estimated at $2.14 billion US, or 13.9 billion yuan. It's necessary to be highly vigilant and prevent disasters that may be caused by extreme rainfall, CMA said. On July 26, severe tropical storm Infa was located about 40 miles west-southwest of Shanghai City, China. Its maximum 10-minute sustained winds were 60 miles per hour with gusts up to 130 kilometers per hour, while maximum 1-minute sustained winds were 40 miles per hour. Sorry guys, I have my ferret running around playing, making noise. The minimum central barometric pressure was 985 HPA, and the system is moving slowly toward north-northwest. Meanwhile, Japan is watching Nepertak, which is currently tracking west towards Tohoku, north of Tokyo. The good news is the storm is pretty weak and ugly right now, and thus will not have any significant impacts on the games outside of a few water events being postponed. Meanwhile, the Philippines is being impacted by a monsoonial surge today, with lots of rain still impacting the islands there through the upcoming week. Dot dot. PayPal partnering with Anti-Defamation League to share info with law enforcement. Determine who can use their services. PayPal is partnering with the Anti-Defamation League to determine who can use their services. The partnership was announced on Monday, with the companies claiming that they are going to investigate how extremist and hate movements in the United States take advantage of financial platforms to fund their criminal activities, according to a report from Reuters. Of course, the ADL has been known to brand anyone who supports Donald Trump or holds views to the right of Karl Marx as an extremist. The initiative will be led through ADL's Center on Extremists and will focus on uncovering and disrupting the financial flaws supporting white supremacists and anti-government organizations, the report continued. It will look also at networks spreading and profiting from anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, racism, anti-immigration, anti-black, anti-Hispanic, and anti-Asian bigotry. PayPal said that the user data collected through the initiatives will be shared with other firms in the financial industry, law enforcement, and politicians. We're hoping to have impact on fighting hatred and extremists, which sadly seems to be surging in society across the globe, Aaron Kazmir, PayPal's Chief Risk Executive Officer of Executive Vice President, said in an interview with Reuters. As the son of a Holocaust survivor, I know all too well the real-world impact that came from hatred and extremist groups. Why did China buy an airstrip in Texas? Should nations let their enemies purchase land within their own borders? You'd likely give a resounding no to this question, correct? And yet, a former Chinese general with alleged ties to Chinese concentration camps recently bought an airstrip in Texas. And this isn't just some random ranch in the middle of nowhere. It's a 200 square mile, 130,000 acres of land between one of the most active Air Force bases in the U.S. and the border of Mexico. Who is Sun Gun-gixin? Sun Gun-gixin is a former general of the People's Liberation Army in China. He owns 2/3 of real estate where the Ugara concentration camps are located in the capital of Xinjiang. Russia had the Gulag. China has the Lagula. The terrors that take place within the Lagua system can be seen and read about on the Lagua Research website. The pictures and nightmarish stories within will show you the brutal truth about socialism and communism. Why did Gon-gixin purchase land in the U.S.? The former Chinese general purchased the land to allegedly build wind farms. The name of the property purchased by the Chinese firm is called the Morning Star Ranch. Sun Gun-gixin, who has close ties to the Chinese Communist Party, purchased the land allegedly to build wind farms. Kyle Bass, founder and principal of Heyman Capital Management and a founding member of the Committee on the Present Danger, China, told Epoch TV in a recent interview. The wind farm project, known as the Blue Hills Wind Development, is being managed by GH America Energy, the U.S. subsidiary of Sun Gun-gixin's Gunga Energy Company. So hard to pronounce those words. Should we be concerned about the Morning Star Ranch? Well, perhaps yes. You got a former People's Liberation Army general billionaire who has bought over 130,000 acres of Texan land, including a giant wind farm in an area where there isn't particularly a lot of wind, but happens to be right beside a very sensitive U.S. military installation, Bass said. Source. And the Morning Star Ranch has its own airfield. We're not talking about just some cruddy dirt airstrip for a Cessna either. We're talking about a well maintained paved runway that's somewhere in the ballpark of 4,000 to 5,000 feet long. Current reports indicate that the former general may have expanded it to 10,000 feet. The airfield is listed as permanently closed by the FAA. Its call sign is TA81, yet it appears to be well maintained. Who wants a reportedly 10,000 foot long airway in the middle of nowhere in Texas? Or perhaps a better question, why would anyone want an airway of this size in the middle of nowhere in Texas? Maybe to land a Chinese 130 or a Chinese 130J clone? This size runway could easily accommodate such an aircraft. We're talking about a remote ranch with excellent views in all directions. It has ready access to a nearby Air Force pilot training base, and it's not too far from Mexico. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe, share, and like. God bless you all and your loved ones, and I hope to see you very soon.